Got a great session coming up next as well on acquiring listing media via Web API, and then we'll go to lunch. So come on up. Thank you.
Acquiring listing media via Web API. Pretty sexy name, right? Probably as cool as a pixel, but you know, we're going to make the best of it. So,
yeah.
Paul and I've been working together with listing media, with the data dictionary, and with Web API, and we want to show you what really cool things you can do, building on top of these things that RESO's been pushing, and all the standardization that brings. You want to introduce yourself, Paul?
Sure. Paul Hethmon, I'm CTO at AMP Systems, and this kind of started out a project that we got going about video marketing, and we'll go in that in a little bit, but you know, Nathan and the team at Restb were very helpful for us, as well as adopting our RESO standards.
Then I'm Nathan Brannen. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Restb, where we focus on computer vision, or how AI understands imagery. And that's really what I'm passionate about, is taking these cool new technologies and figuring out how we can apply them and help other people do the really cool things that they want to do for their companies. So we're going to start things off simple. I want everyone to think in their head of what they would call this carbonated beverage. So first, I'd like to ask people, if you think this is a Coke, can you please raise your hand? If you think this is a soda, can you raise your hand? And if you think this is a pop, raise your hand. Oh, some eager people about pop. That's good. I don't know how any of these other groups count hands because it's a little bright, but yeah, as you can see, a lot of people all think they're correct here. So who is correct? Well, unfortunately, being from Georgia, I would like to say it's Coke, but it turns out everyone's correct. And depending on where you're from, you may describe the exact same object in different ways, and that's completely true. So what does this have to do with real estate? Well, we have a similar problem with many things. If you've ever sat in the data dictionary work group, you've probably seen many examples of this. A simple example here is which of the photos below shows a lanai? If you're from Florida, you might look at the photo on the left and say, oh, that's a lanai. Where if you're from, or lucky enough to be from, Hawaii, you'll look at the photo on the right and say, well, that's definitely a lanai. And there's maybe some of you in here are saying, well, you know, that's definitely a porch, or that's definitely a deck. And these are the challenges that you have with, you know, the way that real estate's evolved in different areas, and also wanting to make all of that data usable, you know, in an easy-to-use way. So for us specifically as a computer vision company, we run into a lot of issues like this that make it hard to simply be right in a way that's easy to work with for people that work with us downstream. So while we're on this topic, a few other examples that are fun. I'm still trying to figure out the difference between a rambler and a ranch. I'm sure some people might think that there is, but it's a little bit difficult. Another one that we touched on a little bit yesterday even is a bungalow in the US, which has a specific meaning, and then a bungalow in Canada, which actually is a ranch. So you have challenges where what is the term that we want to use, or what can we call these things to make things just work? A stove versus a range, a tap versus a spigot, a fridge versus an icebox, or my personal favorite, a water heater versus a geyser. I got this from ChatGPT, so I don't really know if they call water heaters geysers, but I really like to think they do. So if anyone's from Alaska, you know, let us know. So passing this over to Paul.
Yeah. So where this comes into, you know, to RESO is we got an idea at AMP, you know, back in the spring that we wanted to help agents do video marketing, right? Because if you're like, you know, I think most agents are like me, and you know, this picture right here is my art skill level, right? And most agents, you know, want something a little bit better, but they have the same skill level as me, right? Crayons and that sort of thing. So we said, you know, how can we leverage our standards and make this better, right? How do we figure out what to show, what are the details, you know, customization between markets, lanai here, lanai there, right? How much work is required by the agent? You know, we want the minimum, right? Everybody wants something effectively for free of effort. And can we use AI technologies to do this? So those were kind of the questions we started with. And then we went down the road, and back over to my co-host.
So from our side, how can we help Paul and make a product that uses this data, instantly works, and is adaptable to the different markets that they operate? And the problem or the challenge, as anyone in this room knows, is that there's just so many different ways you can describe a property. And even if you describe this one property, there's 1,000 other things you could use to describe every other property. So how do you take all of that complexity and make it very usable? This is where standards come in. Standards can help add structure to data in a way that's easy to use and can traverse different geographies and just function, because people just want things to work. So when we talk about standards, this can be simple information like the address, number of beds, the baths. All of these are data dictionary fields, pretty commonly used to highlight a listing, and are very important when you want to get that information, that you know what it is that you're getting. But when we look at the photos, what is the best way to get all of that information out, and what are the advantages of having all of that in a standardized format? So if we go back to here, we have this chaos of 1,000 different things that you can't even quite see. But taking that structure and using AI, you can actually get something that looks more like this, where you have a ton of details that are very specific that can be used across different properties, across different markets, and really are then able to be utilized, in this case for marketing capacity, to create products that just work. And what's great about this is this is where we're at today. But as we move forward, the data dictionary and the different things that we're looking at, we can go even further. So a lot of these things are things that are about the property, but there's also things about the images. So is it a bathroom image? Is it a kitchen image? I think looking forward, you have things like, all right, what is the kitchen image we want to use? Or what is the best kitchen photo out of these 5 kitchen photos? And even if, as has been mentioned in the data dictionary group, can we look at things beyond what the image is of, but what is in the image? What does it contain? And all these details are then easy, structured data that you can build upon to build different products.
Yeah, so when we started with that, we wanted to use that data, right? We wanted to make, honestly, make our job simpler, make my developers' job simpler, right? If I can get that structured data and Restb gets me that in data dictionary form, I can easily consume that. So I can use those standard client tools, it's data dictionary. We did a proof of concept of this in about a day, right? I mean, it took a lot more time to polish, but to get this information in and start working on it, right? I mean, so we can pull in things like on the screen there, architectural style, our favorite topic from yesterday, the interior descriptions, room sizes, and everything. And by taking that data and knowing that we're getting it in that standard format that data dictionary gives us, and accessing it actually by RESO Web API, by the way, right? Then we can feed that into an AI engine. And that AI engine can say, oh, well, here's all this information about how this house is described, features about it, right? And that creates text. Now we can take that text that the AI engine gave us, send it to a text-to-speech, right? Get that audio file back. Now I've got a soundtrack for this video that, of the images that created that data, and stitch them all together, and the agent can do this in about 15 minutes or less. Right? They can go in there and obviously customize and other things if they want to do it. But if they just put in their listing ID, bring it up on the screen, that system will do all this for them, in that 5, 10, 15-minute range, and have it out there and ready to go. And then, of course, at that point, we're going to use Web API update. We're going to send that new media stream back to the listing system, to the MLS system, so it can be attached as media to that property. So, structured data was key to this. Standards were key to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we at Restb have a great appreciation for how easy it was to work on this project because of the Web API and because of the standards, because we've done a lot of things in other markets, in other international markets where, there aren't standards to make the things, the same across different areas. Yeah. Or we have to do custom mapping every single time that we work with a client. I think everyone here has an appreciation for mapping. And all of these are technical issues and a lot of things that the end user, in this case, the agent, doesn't care about. They just want something that works. But all of these standards help make things just work. And so we really see this as something that will, as a vendor, make innovation much, much easier and allow us to just do a lot more cool things and allow a lot of other people to do much more cool things. So that's it.
Yep. We'll finish early and get everybody to lunch. So I'm sure Sam has some talks for you.